Job for Batman. Slipping his cowl over his black hair, he slipped into the alley next to the bathrooms. Reaching to his belt, he pulled out his grappler, pointing it upwards to the building above. With a small bang, it flew through the air and hooked onto the edge of the apartment. Batman stood up once at the top and looked down over the edge. Metallo was still there, monologuing or something and or mocking Superman. Batman knew how fun it was to do that. Batman had his eyes locked onto the metal man and pulled out 4 batarangs, holding 2 in each hand. Swiping them through the air, they flew, and with a clank they hit Metallo down below. "Oh great, your little friend is here. Hasn't he learned that his old batarang trick is getting old?" Metallo was cut off when all 4 batarangs let off a loud beep before sending electric shocks through Metallo. He cried out, hunched on the street road. Batman shot another grappling wire, this time into the street below. Leaping off the top of the building and using the wire as a flying fox, he came gliding onto the street to face Metallo. Landing with a thud, he strode over to Metallo, still hunched on the ground. Bending down to look eye to eye with Metallo, Batman's lip curved into smirk. Some tricks never get old. Batman kneed Metallo in the face and kicked him over. He rolled on his side. The shock of the batarangs had only just worn off. The metal man showed struggle, but his lips were curved into a grin. "Do what you want with me, the damage has already been done. You're no use to me, little bat, but my mission is complete. You can finish me or help your alien bud over there." Metallo raised a finger over to Clark, laying on the ground unconscious, blood oozing from his mouth and a small green object in his chest. Bruce stood up from Metallo, but before helping Clark he kicked Metallo in his kryptonite heart, leaving cracks in it and making Metallo let out a slight scream. Batman paced over to Superman, kneeling down at his friend's body. His heart was still beating, he was still alive. "Superman." Batman brushed his gloved-covered hand across Superman's face. Leaning in, he whispered, "Clark, please wake up." Bruce's gaze fell to the slick green object wedged in his chest, blood surrounding the encrusted piece of kryptonite. "Kryptonite bullet, original." Batman frowned. Taking a closer look at the bullet, it wasn't too far in his chest but close to his heart and still fatal. The public had already begun to litter around the scene. Some people gasped, some people cried, others tried to ask questions, and some just stood in silence, staring at the critically injured body of their hero. Batman blocked all of them out. He needed to concentrate. This wasn't the first time Superman had been hit with a kryptonite bullet, and probably not the last, and he was lucky it wasn't too deep. Pulling a pair of tweezers out of his belt, he reached towards a piece of green radiated rock and clenched the tweezer hands together and started to tug. Superman jolted and his eyes shot open. He leaned up before letting out a cry and putting his hand over his chest, gritting his teeth. "I was trying to help you." Batman glared before ushering Superman to stay calm. "Teach, then do it." Superman closed his eyes tight, obviously in a lot of pain. Batman continued to tug at the bullet, ignoring Superman's grunts and gasps. The kryptonite slowly wiggled its way out of his chest. "Damn you and your crazy skin." Batman squinted at the bullet, watching as it made its way through his skin. After what felt like hours, the bullet seemed to pop out to the surface and out of Superman's chest. Superman huffed and groaned but let out a sigh of relief. He pulled himself up, his skin already starting to heal. Batman stored the bullet into his lead box. "You gonna add that to your collection?" Superman chuckled, his hand still holding his chest. "Something like that," Batman replied, tucking the box back in his belt. The two heroes both turned behind them, preparing to finish off Metallo, but he was gone, leaving behind a cloud of smoke and the crater dent on the road. "Dang, I really wanted to laser eye his face off." Superman glared but letting out a slight chuckle. "I'm going to head back to Gotham." "Wait, Batma." Batman shot a grappling hook to the top of a building that towered to the street. With a slick whoosh, he zoomed up the wire and vanished at the top. Already people were crowding Superman, asking him countless questions, camera flashes in his face. He made an attempt to answer some. "Superman, why was Batman in Metropolis?" One reporter shoved a microphone in Superman's face, barely missing his mouth. "League business. Others may or may not be here as well." Superman tried to play it cool and keep Batman's cover. Does the kryptonite wound hurt? Another flashed a bright camera in his face. Well yes. It was extremely painful, kind of like someone set your spine on fire, but I'm okay now. He grinned and tried to put confidence on his face. Do you feel alienated by our human society and miss your planet? Jesus Christ. One of these questions again, I swear I've answered this 1,000 times. Superman sighed and letting out an annoyed grunt at the fact of repeating himself. Like I've said before, Earth is my home and yes I do miss my planet and sometimes people can be harsh on me, but I have plenty of lovely friends and family here on Earth that give me love and care. Superman decided he was done answering questions, he simply flew up hovered over the horde of reporters and flew away at a high speed. Let's talk to Batman. He muttered under his breath flying towards Gotham. Ask. Hey Bruce. Superman put a hand on Bruce's shoulder. Bruce spun around in his chair turning his back to the computer screen to face Superman. Don't ever come into the Batcave uninvited again. I'm sorry, what is it? Bruce slipped off his cowl with narrowed eyes. I wanted to say, thank you. Thank you for coming with me to Patterson's and thank you for being there for me, when I needed you. Don't mention it. Bruce spun back in his chair facing the computer screen again, the blue light shone his face. Superman turned away from Bruce and began to walk to the exit, his cape only just touching the ground, dragging behind him. Superman wanted to say something else, it was heavy on his chest and he just wanted to say it. Clenching his fist he spun back around and hovered back over to Bruce. You have super speed, why are you taking so long to leave? Bruce retorted, still looking at the screen. Bruce, I wanted to ask you if you'd like to go to dinner with me, again. I mean our last attempt was cut short, and I think it would be nice. When? Where? Bruce turned slightly only to show the side of his face. Should we try Patterson's again? Clark relaxed a bit, shifting his shoulders and sighing. Is 7 p.m., Thursday. You free? Okay, see you then, unless there's an alien invasion or something. Clark hovered off the ground and glided towards the exit, but he almost fell over when someone tugged his cape. Clark turned back around, still hovering but regaining his balance. Bruce flicked Clark's cape out of his hands and looked up at him. Clark. Bruce remained in eye contact with Clark, not moving a muscle. Yeah? Would you like to be my boyfriend? Bruce kept his steady gaze locked with Clark's, although his cheekbones twitched. Boyfriend? Clark's eyes widened, thoughts rushed through his mind and he fumbled for words. You heard me. Bruce placed his hand next to Clark's and it wrapped its way into a grip. Bruce held Clark's hand waiting for an answer. Yes. Bruce, yes. Clark couldn't help but spread a wide grin across his face, scooping up Bruce in his arms and flying around the Batcave, hugging Bruce tight, almost breaking him. Put me down. Bruce frowned, trying not to show the pain he was in. After this. Before Bruce could even wonder what that meant, Clark slid his lips against Bruce's. The two men were surprised and uneasy for a moment, but they soon got the hang of it, two of their lips slipping into a comfortable position. Bruce wrapped his arms around Clark as Clark held Bruce, keeping a firm grip on him, and Bruce pulled away from Clark, taking a gasp of air. Clark still held Bruce in a bundle wrapped in his arms. You know, Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent can be a couple, but Superman and Batman can never be together. Bruce's face went tense. I understand, too risky. You know Clark Kent should go and write an article about Mr. Wayne's new boyfriend. Clark chuckled. Alright, but that means you have to put me down. Don't be silly. Clark Kent will write the article, but Superman is going to stay here and cuddle his new boyfriend. Fine. Now can start talking in first person again. Bruce folded his arms and his frown grew deeper as Clark continued to nuzzle and cuddle Bruce, holding him against his strange warm chest. Bruce may have been frowning, but he secretly enjoyed the warm skin and soft voice of Clark, and his large arms firmly holding Bruce above the cave. A bit too firmly. Clark, you're breaking me. Team. But, Hold on, I thought you were dating Wonder Woman? Flash shook his head trying to take this in. New 52 crap. Batman grunted. Hey, don't talk bad about New 52. Green Lantern joined the conversation sitting down with Bruce and Barry. Hal? Oh my god, guess who Batman is dating? Barry. Bruce pulled out his bat glare on Barry. Superman. Barry let out a roar of laughter. Wait, are you serious? Man, the Superbat fangirls are going to cry. Hal joined in with Barry in laughing. Bruce sat with his usual poker face while the other two at the table were trying hard to breathe. Hal and Barry pulled themselves up, shifting positions, their laughter dying down. Bruce, why did you tell them? Clark joined the three men at the table. We'd have to tell them sometime. Bruce replied, not facing Clark. How did you know? Wait, super hearing, I forgot. Barry folded his arms, taking in a big sigh. The four of them sat there in an awkward silence for what felt like minutes. Greetings. Diana came bursting through the watchtower doors, splattered in blood, and over to the table. She was holding her sword in her right and shield in her left. Sitting down with the others. Diana, oh my god. Barry leant in close, whispering to her the news. So Big Blue and Dark Knight are getting it on. She let out a small smirk. No. Big Blue and Dark Knight are not getting it on, Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent are together. Not Superman and Batman. It would be too risky if our enemies knew of our relationship. Bruce butted in sternly. Oh right, I get it. Barry waved his hands. Okay then, hey. Anyone want to hear about what I did? Diana shouted. By the looks of your blood-stained clothing, no, not really. Clark never understood how Diana could be so ruthless, then again she was raised a warrior. Suit yourself. Shrugging, she leant back in her chair, flicking her back hair behind her back. Her gaze turned to Bruce's and locked eyes with him. Yes, Diana? He said bluntly. Oh, nothing. She let a smirk crawl across her lips as she turned to Hal. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Hal craned his head to face Diana. She didn't reply with anything, just let out a small chuckle. What is it, you two? Bruce's eyes narrowed under his cowl, his lips curved down. Well. Hal grinned before continuing. Diana and I were just wondering what it would be like in the bedroom with Superman. Surely that would hurt. Everyone at the table burst into laughter except Clark and Bruce. The two of them sat there and exchanged uncomfortable and shocked looks. We've been together for like a week. Clark put in after the laughter had died down slightly. Just be careful you don't break Batman. Barry nudged Bruce in the arm and winking. This has gotten strange. Bruce's frown grew deeper. Hey, you're the one dating an alien, not me. Barry shrugged and continued laughing with the others. Batman had had enough of this shit. He stepped out of his seat, his cape flapped behind him as he quickly slipped out of the door away from the table. Great Scott, damn it, you guys have made him mad now, Clark sighed and followed behind his boyfriend. Hal, Barry and Diana were the only ones remaining at the table, all with blank looks on their faces. The awkwardness was interrupted with a large sigh from Diana and her shaking her head. What does Cal see in that man?